Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Review. I'm your host, Dylan Wallace. Today, we got a great episode for you guys, or a great issue, I just should say, of the Omega Run. So that is kind of the bonus issues that I do of the podcast. I try to do it every week. It just depends whether or not I'm able to squeeze it in. But usually this show is dedicated to kind of the overflow or overspill from issues I wasn't able to get to on the last podcast, which is usually on Saturday, or we kind of dig into some of the backlog, and it's amazing like how empty that shelf is becoming. I kind of look around the camera and like compare over to the bookshelf that I have over there, and it's like slowly I can see the progress like every single week, book by book, week by week. So it's actually pretty cool to see. So with that, let's just go ahead and jump right into it, shall we? So for these Omega runs, I just go right into the reviews. We got 10 books for you today. As a brief reminder, all of these reviews are completely spoiled, I should say. So if you're looking to avoid spoilers, unfortunately, this just isn't going to be the show for you. But basically, I'll try to catch you up on the story. We'll talk about the review and the book itself, and we'll also incorporate the league score and review as well. And then I'll tell you whether or not this is a good one to jump into. So that's going to be the format for the audio. Folks, I'll go ahead and read off these books. These are going to be the 10 books, and we'll do them in this order. But obviously the camera folks, you can go ahead and see this. So first we have Justice League Unlimited issue number 9. Then we have Captain America number 1. This is a variant cover. I think it's Marvel Rivals this book was a couple weeks ago. Then we have New Champions number 7. This is from the last week pulls. Void Rivals 21, also last week. Mystique number 4, which is a backlog. Danger Street number 7 is a backlog. I think it's, number 7. The Rocketfellers number 7 is from last week. West Coast Avengers number 9 is from last week. And then we got 2 more backlog here. This is Batman One Bad Day, Raja Ghul. This is the conclusion to all these One Bad Day series, which is against a number of different villains. So we'll be wrapping that one up. And then Local Man, we have the trade here. It's going to be focused in on issue number 2. So I already reviewed 1. We got 2. And then this trade has 1 through 5. I actually read 3. So 3 is going to be coming up on the next issue. I'm really digging Local Man, so I just went ahead and started reading the next issue. But we'll just talk about issue 2 for today. So those will be the books. We'll go ahead and we'll get started with Justice League Unlimited number 9. This is a pretty good book here. I gave it a 4, and Lee gave it a 3.8. So I'd say for this book, it's a bit of a filler is the best way that I would describe it. Coming off of Omega Grodd, which was then called Omega God. So we have Airwave, who was basically our mole or our double crosser, didn't realize it, turned on the Justice League, and then that allowed the Legion of Doom to get inside of the Justice League's watchtower. Grodd is the mastermind behind all of this, and he was then able to kind of tap into Darkseid's energy that was within the watchtower, take over. You had the heroes scattered throughout time. Airwave then came back, and like he was basically the fulcrum, right? He was like that crux that everyone honed their energy and their power in on, brought everyone back to the current timeline. They were able to defeat Grodd, but Airwave is now lost to time, and the entire timeline is completely fractured and broken. So that is basically the story and where we left off. Pick up immediately from there for issue number 9, and basically the heroes are trying to figure out, what are we going to do? Everyone is kind of stuck exactly where they are. Some folks are scattered to different eras in time, but they're stuck in that time, and the whole timeline is starting to fracture and come apart. So much so to the point where you have all these different heroes and villains from the future actually coming back and trying to help, because like reality is folding in. And the best recommendation that they have right now is they need to take Grodd, who has all the power stripped out of him, and basically kill him and dissect him, and then somehow quickly understand what's happening from him because he contained all this Omega energy. And so they're going to try to then, figure out what is the way to reverse this through Grodd. Obviously, Grodd's like, hell no, I don't want that. And there's got to be another way. While all this fighting and debating of going back and forth on what exactly to do, as Grodd is there as a prisoner, Airwave, of course, is lost to time. Mr. Terrific, of course, from Superman. If you went ahead and you saw the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that Mr. Terrific decides to go off and find where Airwave is. At first, he's struggling to try to figure it out. He's got a version of Mr. Terrific from this universe now, and then a version of Mr. Terrific, I believe, from the past or from the distant future. Either way, it's someone who didn't know Airwave before. And as soon as he was about to figure out what all needed to happen, that version, the future one or the past one, completely disappears. So now we only have the present, and he doesn't really know what to do. And this is where the time distortion really starts to kick in and take place. Everyone back on the watchtower is like freaking out and trying to figure out what all to do. It pans back to Mr. Terrific, and he can't figure it out either. This is the smartest guy in like all of the DC universe, basically, and he can't figure it out. And then whoever he's with, I can't recall, is basically like, you need to like calm down. You're caring too much. And that was the whole thing, is like, if Mr. Terrific didn't care about Airwave, he actually would be able to think about it really quickly. So he like tapped into that. It's like, okay, let's pretend that I don't care. And by doing that, he was able to figure out exactly where he was. Figured out like you could bring him back by using some sort of like music, like tuning fork, amplified that power. That brought Airwave back into the present. By doing that, it stabilized the time for now. The Watchtower and the rest of the Justice League didn't have to kill Grodd, and it looks like things are back to quote-unquote normal. Then we get to the very end of the book, and we have the Trinity, right? So we got Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman together, and they're like, guys, I don't think we actually solved this. I think we made some sort of catastrophic error that's going to cause everything to go to shit. And so that's the cliffhanger. But all of this was basically like, time's broken, how do we fix it? And they do it all in one issue. Making it basically a one-shot is what you have here. So if we go ahead and flip through the art onto this one, I think the art is pretty good here. I mean, it's kind of standard for Justice League and for DC of what we've been seeing thus far. I think overall, though, pretty good, but nothing that's like too crazy or too off the charts, I would say. However, you do get some nice time, like distortion, and so, you know, the colors and the different patterns and shapes and things, and how they try to portray how time is fracturing and falling apart looks pretty cool. Like, look at that scene there. We have multiple heroes like all together just freaking out and stressed about everything that's happening and taking place. But then, of course, we flip over to Mr. Terrific, who's basically able to figure out what all is going on, and that's what go ahead and is able to pull Airwave back, and by doing that was able to stabilize all of time for now. And then here's basically the Trinity coming together and announcing that, like, hey, there's some sort of catastrophic error that they missed out on. So that is Justice League Unlimited number 9. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.8. I do think you can jump in at this one. 8 is the end of the previous arc. This is kind of a one-shot. I wouldn't say filler, but it is a one-shot for sure. So now would be a good time to jump into it, or jump in at issue number 10. I think that's going to be totally fine too. So again, Justice League Unlimited number 9. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.8. Next up here is going to be Captain America number 1, and check out that cover from Marvel Rivals, the variant. So this is another, it's so silly, but it is a realization I had of like, oh, you don't have to read the whole series. And on top of that, you can just go into the shop, pick up number 1, decide whether or not you're going to continue it or not. I think we always get caught up of like, if I'm going to read this, I have to read all of it. I have to pick up everything. I want all the same covers, so on and so forth. But the hobby's messy, right? And so I was just like, you know what? If I show up at the shop and they still have Captain America, because that was the number 1 ranked for picks of the week, that particular week, I was interested. But at the time, I was like, I don't want to get into a long form series. I was like, hey, if they got number 1, just go ahead, pick it up and read it. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, you don't like it and you just don't continue. And I'm glad that I did pick it up, and they did have it. They just had it in this last variant cover, which looks pretty cool. So I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.4. I wasn't quite over the moon as I think everyone else was on this, but it's still very, very good. I was definitely in between a 4 and a 4.5. I'd say for this book in particular, It is actually I'll save that. I'll just go through the review and I'll get back to what I was going to say. So this is a true origin story of Captain America. It is tried and true. Exactly what you think happens is what happens here for the most part, as far as the origin. Cap, he was in World War II, got trapped in the ice, and he just got defrosted like 2 weeks ago, basically. So he's figuring out this whole world, what's all happening. The rest of the world like doesn't even really know who he is. Like there's all these legends and these tales, but they don't understand. Like it's not full blown Marvel Avengers. Captain America is like a main focal. Like he just came out the ice type situation. And so at first, Cap tries to go back to the army. The army's like, yeah, welcome back, you're fit, but like we kind of don't have a post for you. Maybe go ahead and hit up the Avengers, which is a brand new crew, and that's like kind of a new word in the lexicon and what's happening in this universe. And so what Cap actually decides to do is he links up with Mr. Fantastic, and he starts to learn about Doom. And so Mr. Fantastic starts telling him everything about him and tells the classic story of Doom and how and the crazy things that have happened to him in his past and how he's like kind of a psycho. And so Cap kind of lasers in and feels like this is, a good mission for him to take on. And while all this happens, it kind of phases in, the super soldier program and the serum, and it's the classic Cap, right? Like he was undersized, but they picked him because of his heart, so on and so forth. But it looks like they're mixing in a bunch of modern scenes of some other kid going through the same thing. And basically what they decided to do is 9/11 happened. And so when 9/11 happened and the towers came down, there was some kid who saw that and decided to enlist when he was probably too young or didn't have the size or whatever. And they did the same exact thing, but in a modern day as well. So fast forward to now, 2025, this kid is grown up. He's a super soldier. He's enlisted in everything, and he's going to be part of this mission. They have a couple other super soldiers that is going to be part of this group, and they're getting ready to send them on a mission, of course, to go after Doom. And then they bring in, OG Captain America as well to support. So we effectively have like two Captain Americas fighting side by side with some other super soldiers, and they're going to go after Doom. So that's going to be the story. Well done and very well written. And what I was going to say at the beginning that I'm going to now say now is it feels like this book in particular, we know comics as a medium, very, very left-leaning, like extraordinarily left-leaning, from the characters to their takes on social positions to like the political statements, so on and so forth. This feels like it was like, okay, guys, we got to give the right a bone. Just throw them a bone. That's what this book feels like. It is just so tried and true, pro-America, exactly what you expect from Captain America, like all the things that they're hitting, like for family, for country, for freedom, like all of it, the patriotism behind it all. I was just reading this, and I was like, the right is going to love this. So if that's what you're into and that's where you lean politically, I think you're going to love the book. And if you're on the other side of the spectrum, I don't think you're going to hate it, but I was just reading this and it's like, it just screams out of the page of like, I know who you wrote this for, which is totally fine. And it doesn't sway me either way. It's just something that I picked up on as I was reading through it as all. So yeah, that's Captain America #1. I don't know if I'm going to continue on to it. Maybe if I see issue #2 and it's a light week, I might go ahead and just pick it up, but I didn't start subscribing to it. The whole point was like, I just wanted to read #1 just to see how good it was, as people were picking it for pick of the week. I don't think I would have picked it for pick of the week. I certainly do recommend it though. It's a good and well-written book, and it's an interesting take of like, okay, now we have a modern day Captain America along with the OG back from World War II. How are these two going to coexist type of deal and situation? So again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.4. Oh, sorry. Totally forgot to go and show off the art. Silly me. So let's flip over and go through that real quick. I'd say kind of standard Marvel is what you have here. It's all about the storytelling itself. Who do we have on this book here? It is Zdarsky. I think that was another reason that I wanted to hop on it too, because I tend to like a lot of his stuff. But you know what this actually reminds me of art styles wise is Miles Morales. So that is another plus to it, because I really enjoy the Miles Morales art style as well. But as you can see here, Captain America is joining the strange world. We have Iron Man who like helps out for a second, but in actuality he gets called back, or he returns, I should say, to the military, and they're like basically like, yep, thanks, but we don't really have anything for you. Of course, going back to his origin, but this almost looks like more modern, right? And I think this is where they're kind of sewing in, like, oh, this is actually the new guy that they're talking about here. And then here's where he's talking to Mr. Fantastic about Doom, and basically Cap deciding, like, yep, this is going to be my mission. And then, some more about the stuff from the past and everything, the super serum, that he goes and takes. And then so here is our modern, Captain America. I don't even think we got a name yet of what he actually is. But in the end, of course, it is going to be Cap who's going to join them as well as they go and try to take down Doom. So, yeah, interesting story. Cool stuff. We'll see where it goes, and we'll see if it kind of continues this steam. Obviously, I continue to look at the picks of the week and everything like that. So if it's still picking up steam, I may have to go ahead and start picking it up. Then we got New Champions number 7 here. So that's next up on our list. This, I gave it a 3.5. League gave it a 3.6. So unfortunately a miss, I'd say, overall for New Champions, which I've been enjoying up to this point. But we are introduced to a new hero here. So this is Night Drifter. And basically, our new champions are trying to figure out where Hellrune is. So to catch you up on the story as best as I can, we have a bunch of these newer champions about teenage age. They've kind of been brought together due to circumstances. One in particular is Hellrune. She was part of the group, then she left to be part of a family that she discovered, like a long lost aunt, and she hasn't had any other family since. Now that she's been hanging out and training with her, she's starting to get like this vibe or feeling that her aunt is actually evil. So she calls back to the new champions basically to help out. So that's where we pick up here. And Hellrune, before she gets taken leaves with her aunt to, it's like this marketplace that they go. So before she leaves there, she drops a note to the rest of the new champions of where she's going to head. And when she goes, it like crosses over into like a new reality or new realm where like cell service doesn't work, obviously. And so one of the new champions, Moonsquire, is like, hey, I know a guy that can probably triangulate where this is. And in comes Night Drifter. So Night Drifter is basically a half vampire, and looks like he lives like kind of this shady double life, and he knows all about this marketplace that they were talking about. So he's able to get everyone in. And when they're in the marketplace, they basically learn that this market is not like a traditional commerce that you find like in Western civilization, right? You don't pay with this with any money. You pay with a different kind of currency. And as they're all trying to figure that out, we run into one of Night Drifter's old quote-unquote mates, but it's not actually a mate. It's like a dude that he's been stealing from or just running up this huge tab on. So they get into this big fight back and forth, but there's no way that they really have to stop them. But Night Drifter knows of a merchant that has something. So Moonsquire goes up to him and asks, and the guy's like, yep, we got exactly this thing. Here's what's going to stop him. All it's going to require is 5 of your best days. That was the currency. And Moonsquire's like, yeah, that's fine. I don't even know what that means. So he agrees. And they shouldn't have agreed, because now Night Drifter is like, basically what you just signed up for is like, that could be 5 of your best days that you ever experienced in your life or could experience in the future are totally and completely gone. Like now that merchant now owns them. Like that's the currency you just paid with to stop this random villain. Craziness. I was like, damn, this is insane. But they do. That's what they do. And then Moonsquire loses those memories, presumably, and he'll never know it. And now they're able to stop this guy. Now from here, they got to figure out where exactly Hellrune is. So they find this goat randomly that spits out these 3 eggs. And one egg shows where they were, which was in the market. And like you can see them leaving the market, where they are presently. And they're going to some sort of temple. And then what is going to happen. And it basically kind of shows like into the future a little bit. And you see Hellrune with her aunt, who looks like, and they're from Norse mythology. It looks like they're going to a temple to summon a god, but it's not a god. They're actually going to summon Hela, which is like, the queen of death or whatever, and of Ragnarok. So that is where it's all headed next, which had me super stoked for the end. But I'd say for the most part, for the book itself, this whole being in the market and everything was kind of weird and odd. I didn't necessarily enjoy it, which brought it down for me. Thus ended up with the 3.5. And it looks like League was in agreement with me as well, or in agreement. So for New Champions, flipping through the artwork here, the artwork has always been fine and serviceable as far as Marvel is concerned. So I'd say standard and nothing that is out of the ordinary on a lot of this stuff. But here's where the squad meets up with Drifter, takes him into the bazaar. You have a nice, really good kind of like full spread of what this marketplace looks like. And then here's like the crazy, I don't even know, bug-like, bat-like looking creature that they run into, and they start fighting. And then Moonsquire goes ahead and makes that deal, and then they're able to get those whatever they use to stop him. Then you have the goat here that has these 3 little eggs where they show that, yep, they were here. Presently, they're here. And then in the future is going to be Hela, which is crazy. So, yeah, that's New Champions number 7. Again, I gave it a 3.5. League gave it a 3.6. Then next up is Void Rivals. Void Rivals, I do enjoy. I gave this one a 4. League gave it a 4.1. Void Rivals 21 at this point, which is nuts to think. Like, I remember when I picked up the very first one, and it's crazy how it doesn't feel like it's so long ago, but at the same time, it feels like it could be forever ago, you know? It's just one of those situations. But this one mostly focuses in on the Zetarian side of things, and so very long story, obviously. We're 21 in. So we have 2 sides that live on this planet. They hate each other. It's kind of a Romeo and Juliet situation. But we come to find out this is all in the Energon universe. So it's part of the Transformers, part of the G.I. Joe. Come to find out that the Transformers, one of them landed on this planet, and basically both of them are ancestors of this particular Autobot. And there's this prophecy. The 2 leaders presently interpret it: if these 2 civilizations are to unite, the whole world will explode. But the Autobot, who's at the center of the earth, has basically explained, no, it actually says that you need to unite in order to like prosper. And so on the one side is Aragorian, and the other side is Zeratonian. And so on the Aragorian side of things, we have our main character, Darak, which is like the prince, and like his father is the king. And then on the other side, on the Zeratonian side, our main protagonist there, who is like the princess, basically. Her name is, and I gotta find it. Always have to find it with my notes on this one. Oh, you know what? I know what I did. I ended up. I had to go ahead and close all this stuff out because basically the app had to restart on me. So give me a second here while I go ahead and pull up those notes. Because I totally forgot. It was like Google Chrome is open and it's using your webcast. So we can't do that right now and can't update it. Here we go. So now that we got it pulled up, let's see. Void Rivals. So we got Derlak, and on the Zeratonian side, I think it's Celia is her name. But let's just make sure we get that correct, because it is an important detail. Yes, Celia. So she was the one that actually talked to the Transformer, which is Zerta, and basically brought back this message up to the Aragorians of like, hey, if we're actually supposed to unite here. Obviously, the head of the Aragorians is like, I hate that. We're not going to do it. And then on the Zeratonian side, you know, that's sacrilege as well. But as they're kind of talking and debating back and forth, they're like, okay, maybe we should give some sort of effort towards this. That's the Aragorian side. Issue 21, mostly on the Zeratonian side, we have 2 leaders here. So we have the actual Supreme Leader, and his name is Premier Zaliak, and then we have Proximus. So Premier is the king and the ruler. Proximus is like the head knight, if you will. And so Proximus has taken over the throne temporarily, but Premier is now back, and he's had visions from Zerta. So he hasn't actually directly spoken to her, but visions. And his thing is that they need to unite as well. So when he comes back, basically he takes the throne back from Proximus pretty quickly and pretty handedly. And their whole thing is they're going to now unite, but their vision of uniting is not actually joining together. They feel it's like destroying. So they send all their army over to the Aragornians. So now you have Darak and Celia and Darak's father and all the Aragornian army fighting the Zeratonian army. On top of that, there are other Autobots that are like alive and well from the present that happen to be in the Aragornian side, and they're supporting the Aragornian side. And so Darak is like this crazy space pilot. So he gets into his space fighter, and he has a whole bunch of other space fighter pilots with him, and they're up and going into battle. And then on basically the closeout for the issue on the Zeratonian side, it's Proximus leading everyone into battle as they're going to have this huge fight. So it's funny, on the Aragornian side, they're like, unite, peace, and the other Zeratonian side say, yeah, unite, but via violence, right? And just like burn everything to the ground. So that's what's taking place, and we got this big old war. The B plot, we have this other guy called Skuxoid. He's out there, and he's kind of been a scavenger out in the world. He got absorbed into this army, which is a whole bunch of clones of himself. He realizes that he's a clone, and he's not like the original. So he tries to fight his way out, and he then gets summoned by Skuxoid Alpha, which is basically like the original, and we're going to see what all happens on that. So that's what's happening on the B plot, on a completely different side of the universe, basically. So with that, go ahead and put the notes over there. Let's see here on some of the artwork. So for 21, we start off with that B plot here, but basically got Skuxoid going. And then here is where we have our Zeratonian side of everything that's happening on. So that's Proximus there. And then in comes the Premier leader, and then they're basically like challenging each other, but it is not really much of a challenge. Basically, very quickly, Premier takes back the throne, and it's pretty epic and pretty awesome, and they decide that they are going to unite, quote unquote. Back at the Aragornian side, they're finally coming to realization that, yep, we're going to go and unite as well, but this is when all the alarms go off. That they need to go and defend. We have our actual Autobots here that are helping out, and then here's kind of where the war begins. Skuxoid goes to meet Skuxoid Alpha. Here are the fighter pilots that I was talking about, and then this kind of just leads out to basically a full-out war and battle, and then you have Proximus leading everyone into battle here against the Autobots and the Aragornians. So basically, big old miscommunication situations that we got going on here, and we'll see what all happens with it. So yeah, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.1. Is it the time to join or jump in? I'm like half yes, I'm like half absolutely not. It's just so confusing, right? It's like a brand new IP and a lot of different names and like these two different wars. But once I say Romeo and Juliet, like you kind of get it, and that's where we're at, and that's really what it is. So I guess you'd be fine, because right now it's about to lead into like the full-out battle and the war, and at least you have a little bit of the why here, versus the next issue I feel like you're probably not going to have that, would be my guess. So maybe if that at all sounds interesting to you, it would be a good time to jump in. But Void Rivals has been dope, especially as a unique independent IP within the Energon universe, which is both Transformers and like G.I. Joe. It's like this cool little piece that also lives in this universe too. So, yep, again, that's Void Rivals 21. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.1. Then next up here is Mystique number 4. And so this one was pretty good in my opinion. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.8. This is a backlog issue as well, so this came out January 22nd. All my X-Men stuff, for the most part, is like backlog. But, we're slowly getting through it. That's like the biggest pile of books that's remaining. But anyways, so this is a story here really between Nick Fury and Mystique. And so you can see from the cover here we have, Nick Fury posing. There's an explosion in the background, and then Mystique like kind of hanging in the shadow there. And I love this book because this is like Mystique just burning everything to the ground and going absolutely crazy. So her why behind all of this is she's trying to find her wife Destiny, and she thinks S.H.I.E.L.D. has something to do with it. Nick Fury happens to be in charge of the mutant division. He's not the Nick Fury that you know from the MCU. He's not, the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. or anything like that. He's basically like a desk and field agent mix, and very like middle tier. I think it's actually Maria Hill who's the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. in this run. And very early on in the issue, Nick's car blows up. And so at first he thinks like it may be Mystique, but it ends up being like this different mutant that was going after him. Then from there on, it's Mystique just going on a full-on rampage, disguising herself as everyone under the sun. I think from like Juggernaut to maybe Xavier at some point. She's like literally everyone. And just going in and just taking everyone out that she possibly can in the hopes of being able to find Destiny. And then we get to a point where Nick Fury, after this car explosion, was actually fine. He returns back to the S.H.I.E.L.D. HQ. He gets whatever he needs like from his office, and then he's about to head out. But when he's about to head out, then like sensors and stuff start going off in the building, and then the building explodes. And it turns out it wasn't actually Nick Fury that went back. It was Mystique disguised as Nick Fury, and she blew up the building, and she actually has Nick Fury tied up in some sort of closet. Crazy, dope ending, exciting. Oh man, it's like a crazy espionage thriller. So I'm enjoying the hell out of this one. So let's go ahead and flip into some of the artwork here, so you can see all what I'm talking about. This one is the one where the art is doing a majority of the talking, which I do like a lot. So Maverick, that's the one who was originally going after Nick Fury and blew up his car, but Nick was able to escape. And I don't know if it was Mystique or not, to be honest with you. I just don't. But just Juggernaut that you can see right here is actually Mystique, as you can see in the lower corner here. I think there's another one. Yep, she turns into Angel for a second. And that's some advertisements right there. Cable, that's the other one that she goes on this absolute rampage, just killing everyone. It's Cable. And then here is where she's as Nick Fury, and then gets into the actual room. Oh, I think before that she actually turns into, is this Moira? I want to say it is. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, she actually gets into the room. Maria Hill is like going over a whole bunch of stuff. The S.H.I.E.L.D. building explodes. Here's Nick Fury kind of walking off. And actually, it's Mystique who has the Nick Fury here all captured. And so like it's like, holy shit, where are we going to go from here? So good, exciting stuff. Try to get in at number 1. I think it's just a 5-part, so it's literally just going to be a trade. And it's already done. But it's been an exciting thriller, spy type of deal. So I've been enjoying the heck out of it. Mystique number 4. I do recommend. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.8. Then we have Danger Street number 7, which is like such an impossible one to try to catch you up. It is a Tom King where you just have to read a bunch of different issues in order to feel like you're actually caught up on what the hell is going on here. And then on top of that, it is it's non-linear storytelling across a bunch of different narratives that look like they're eventually going to start coming together. And they have in the last couple of books, and especially this one. So issue 7, there's really 3 different things. But to catch you up, we have a kid who's died that's part of this friend group. We have like 2 or 3 different heroes that were trying to join the Justice League, but they summoned the wrong beast and being. The kid happened to be there. One of them got scared, accidentally killed that person. Not good. Those 2 or 3 people that are trying to get into the Justice League now are trying to find a way to bring back the kid. As that all happens, they get caught by this police officer who's investigating this whole thing. So one of those guys is now in jail. On the other side of the coin is you have this group that's running, it's called GCN, but think of it like, CNN, Fox News, whatever. They are like running this show, but they're trying to pump out all this propaganda. You have this head news anchor that's actually like some sort of demon. And then you have this assassin that's going after, it's like a group of kids that all own GCN. He's gotten all of them, and now he's trying to get one final one. And then somehow the High Father and Darkseid are involved in this as well, but it doesn't really make sense how they're all involved to me at this point. So it's out there though. But that's it. That's the story. Confusing, crazy. I'm sure I said a whole bunch of words and you're like, what the F are you talking about? But that's it, folks. I don't know what to tell you. So 3 main things happen here. The police officer that's investigating, she goes to GCN and tries to get a meeting with the head people or person, and just constantly is getting blocked. The news anchor shows up. He's able to go in, come out, but we don't actually see what happens. And he's trying to flirt with her basically and just goes on his way. But we have the intersecting of the paths there. Then the other piece is one of the kids in the friend group. Now they're like creating havoc in the town, and they start spray painting some stuff. So he gets arrested, gets put in jail, I guess, basically until his parents pick him up. And then he runs into the other guy that was connected to killing his friend, but doesn't even realize it. So they're like just talking it up as like they're in jail together, trying to figure this whole thing out. And then the third piece is one of the remaining kids for the leaders of the GCN thing is getting chased by this assassin. Last issue, he recruited the outsiders to help him out, and I guess they said yes. So now that kid's out on vacation. When he's on the beach, the assassin shows up. The kid's like, oh shit, I gotta run. So he runs, but then he actually starts running into the ocean, which seems weird. It's like, dude, you're gonna die, right? Like, there's no shot you can outswim this grown-ass man that's trying to chase you down. But sure enough, the outsiders were somehow like under the ocean, and they're going up and like trying to kill this assassin. And it looks like maybe they do, maybe they don't. So that's how the story gets advanced at this point. It's so weird. It's so chaotic. I like don't even know where to begin. But I did give it a 3.5. Lee gave it a 4.1. So some folks are seeing things that I'm not in this book per se. So let's go ahead and flip through the actual comic itself so you can go and see the artwork here. I'd say most of it is all about the storytelling, but here's what that assassin basically that was chasing after that guy. Here's where the kids are like screwing around on the street before they get sent into prison. Police officer is outside talking with that newscaster. I guess this was during the night terror. July 11, 2023. Dang, it's crazy. 2 years ago. We got the the kid arrested in jail, and that's where he's talking to that other guy and doesn't even realize that he had a part in his friend being killed. Back to the police officer and the news anchor talking. Here is, oh man, I totally forget what his part of his story was too. I think he's involved with the killing as well. I just honestly forget. And then, again, the assassin, the kid, he's going into the water, but the outsiders come out and they take him out. And then it's just basically kind of the wrap up here with all these different stories. And this police officer talking with the head assistant basically says that, they have my kid and they're going to threaten to, like, kill my kid if I don't act the exact way that they want me to act. That's why I'm just, following orders here, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, yeah. Dark, screwed up story, but that's where we're going with Danger Street. It's all complete at this point. I don't really recommend it. I'm trying to think if you even read it all together. I feel like it doesn't jive with me personally, so I just would say stay away from Danger Street unless you're able to read it for free, is what I would say. So then next up here we got Rocketfellers, and I think, just 3 more books after this. So Rocketfellers number 7. I gave it a 4. And Lee gave it a 4.1. This was an interesting book in a different turn that I think I finally was waiting for this entire time. So we finally get an understanding of what this is all about. We got a family, they're from the future, sent back to the past, but we kind of find out that being sent back to the past is a form of witness protection from the future. So rather than being located, some random city or whatever, you're placed in some random time. And we don't really know who's after them, but there's like all these little pieces and hints, but it's not really much that you can really sink your teeth into until you get to this issue here. So this shows us the future. We have this whole family, and Roland is the father and the head of the family. And we come to find out that the person that's hunting them, which is the cover of this comic, is actually related to Roland. So a lot of the comic is focusing on this big company. They're trying to save lives and extend people's longevity, but they need this technology in order to do it. And basically the whole point is like you can live on for forever and ever, see your whole legacy grow, so on and so forth. And this company thinks that they're going to be on the cutting edge of all this, but that's what they're telling the stakeholders. They're telling the board, they're telling the shareholders, they're telling the public. In actuality, it's a big old arms race that they have going on with some rival company. And our head person here is head of security. But in actuality, she's like kind of an assassin, a corporate espionage, and like goes into the headquarters of the rival company, like blows up one of their labs while also stealing their trade secrets. But Roland, he doesn't know anything about it. Then we have this big old family dinner, and you come to find out she's actually Roland's sister. So it's actually Roland's sister who's after Roland and his entire family, and the reason that they're in this witness protection program. So at the time, though, in the future, before all this stuff took place, Roland also worked for the company, and he worked on the engineering side of things. And so he's like working on trying to like get the product or whatever it is that they're trying to sell the best that it can be. But he's like, hey, there are things that we have to worry about with doing this. And, we're not even entirely sure that it's going to work. And she's just like, it's fine. Just keep pushing forward. The company's doing well. We're ahead. But she hasn't shared any of this like crazy shit that she's also doing in the background as well. So that's the story. I mean, we're basically finding out the why behind the family being chased after and starting to get a pretty good sense as to what it is. I'm sure Roland finds out at some point, or he decides like, I'm not going to move forward with this because of XYZ reason. She's gone too deep and like is in with the CEO of the company and the founder and yada yada, and then now they're on different sides of the argument. It's going to be something along those lines, right? So really good from that sense. I'll go ahead and flip over to the artwork here so you can take a look at it. Artwork is pretty good too. So we basically find out that it has something to do with this nanotech, and what's interesting here is this is the future. This is the tree that was planted back in issue 2 or 3, I want to say. And so now you see this, it's like, oh, is that same tree? And they built the whole world off of that. Like, who knows? Like, they discovered the vines of that nanotech. And so here, like, we're going through the whole propaganda. This is where they're trying to figure out, like, okay, like, do we hit the right messaging and everything? But here's where you find out what she actually does, and drops down into that competitor's laboratory and just starts taking people out. She grabs what she needs, and then she's out of there. So then fast forward to basically her having a interaction with her mother, and I'm pretty sure this is the mother that dies in issue 1, but it actually could be the other side of the family. It's not entirely clear, to be honest with you. Like, does that person there look like the same person here? I mean, I guess so. It's tough to tell. But anyway, so yeah, this is where, Roland, who's like the main father of this family, and his sister are basically arguing on what exactly they're thinking for the future of the family. And so we'll go and find out in the next couple of issues of what the fallout is and how exactly Roland and his family of the Rocketfellers ended up in this past and the witness protection, and then like the whole fallout of everything that took place. So that's the Rocketfellers, issues number 7. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.1. Then we got West Coast Avengers number 9. Holy shit, this book was awesome. Highly, highly recommend it. This I gave a 4.5. Lee just gave it a 4. But for me, man, this book was freaking incredible. So, putting it out there, Iron Man's my favorite, and then Ultron's my favorite villain. So you put those two together, it's going to be a win for me, almost no matter what. But what they're doing with this Ultron is freaking nuts. So, backstory is Ultron has split himself 9 ways, and it was like the best 9 ways that they could come up with. And they basically decided they're going to go off into the universe and find their own ways of like peace and harmony. And so one does end up joining the Avengers, but it's like kind of like a work release Avengers program that they're doing and trying to reform a bunch of different villains. And Tony and what's his face, not Iron Lad, War Machine, they team up together and they're like, okay, we're going to run this group. But Tony actually had a failsafe to kill Ultron in case he was all bad. While that happens, there are other 2 of the 9 remaining Ultrons have entered the fray. One was like this church zealot, wanted to fuse with humans, and this other one is called like the Scorched Sun Ultron, literally flew into the sun, baked, and then came out, and from that experience decided humanity needs to die. Like, that's the story. It's freaking nuts. That Scorched Ultron comes back to Earth. He completely destroys the Church Ultron, and then the good one is gone because he's all pissed off due to the failsafe issue. And it looks like the Scorched Ultron is just going to kill everything. Like, he's freaking nuts. So then we start issue number 9, and our Ultron comes back. So he decides, okay, I'm going to be good, and like obviously you guys need help and all that. So he comes back to help out. You got War Machine down. Iron Man's pretty banged up as well. You have Killer Watt, who's on the work release program. He shows up, but the guys back in prison have a gun to his father's head, and he doesn't know what to do. Then you have Wonder Man shows up, and he decides like, hey, I'm gonna go help out your father, so he takes care of that emergency. Then you have Firestar, who's involved. She was out doing a whole inpatient program for like alcoholism. She's back to help out as well. So you got all the heroes kind of back, and now they're all fighting Scorched Ultron. And Ultron just looks like a freaking beast in this. Then it gets to a point where he starts fusing with the other humans that the other Church Ultron was using. And he has that Church Ultron. It's literally like his head on his shoulder like a parrot, with like his spinal cord draped over his shoulder. It's like the most ridiculous, cool looking thing ever. Then all the heroes go to attack Ultron. Ultron goes to fight back, and he like shoves this like huge knife, and it goes directly into Iron Man. As you can see, a blast here, but it's not actually a blast. It's like a blade from Ultron that goes into him. It's dope. So let's go ahead and flip through it. It's about the action in this one for sure, and for me, just the way they drew Ultron just looks incredible. Like, look at that. So here's our good Ultron, and then here's the Scorched one, and then along with the Church one with the spinal cord draped over his shoulder. Like, ridiculous. In today's world where we're talking about AI and super intelligence and all this stuff, like, I just love it. So here's also, you have Scorched fighting regular Ultron, and he's using the spinal cord of the Church Ultron around the regular Ultron. It's like, what are we talking about here? This stuff is epic. It's like anime level stuff of everything that's happening here. So this is when all the heroes are basically trying to regroup and everything. Wonder Man shows up, decides he's going to go and help out after his funny little scene. We got our Ultron getting ready to help out as well. And then here is where they show Scorched Ultron fusing with all the humans here. Like, these are all like human skulls and just getting bigger and just more insane and grotesque and monster-like. It's pretty dope. So here's where the fight is on. They're bringing a fight to Scorched Ultron, and they're fighting, and boom, Iron Man gets it right in the freaking gut, and he's down and likely out. So not looking good for him at all. But man, they made Ultron look freaking epic in this. So good. If you just love Ultron, this whole thing is for you. Like, it's all about Ultron, to be honest with you, which is excellent. To me, I just can't get enough of him. And we're at the point now where things are getting really, really good. So is it the time to jump in? I think you'd be fine if you jumped in here. I do. I mean, at this point, it's just fighting. You'd miss the nuance before, but I think a lot of that is actually filled in this issue, although briefly, but it is filled in, so you'd be fine here. And I recommend it. I mean, 4.5. I loved it. I'd say 4.5 is comfortable. I don't think it was leaning really towards the 5 direction, but yeah, I felt really good there at 4.5 for me. So yeah, West Coast Avengers number 9, gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4. And then the second to last here, we have Batman One Bad Day, Raja Ghul. This one was also epic as well. I also gave this a 4.5, and Lee gave it a 4.3. Killer book. What a way to end it all for these longer form books. This is 64 pages, so it's basically 2 comics in one. And I don't think there's any ads in it either. So it's a very long form book. And what you have here and how they spin this is another one of like politics and like how Hollywood portrays things, right? Hollywood tends to put everything in a left lens, right? Like, the left is always viewed as like the righteous and the morally accurate way to live life and so on and so forth. And then the right is always portrayed as like this like evil thing. And then it's always like someone that's like very staunch right wing mentality, and then suddenly like they reverse course and then they head to like some sort of left mentality. Like, it's very classic, especially in Hollywood. And so this takes that concept and it fucking flips it on its head. It's nuts. So you have Raja Ghul here, who obviously is evil. He's reincarnated through the Lazarus pool, as he usually is, and when he comes back, his whole mission is he's going off and killing the world's worst billionaires, like all the worst ones in the worst ways, killing all of them. And he kills them when he has an heir to succeed them and change whatever company, industry, whatever they're in control of, in the way that's actually good for society. So the one that he kills now, I think, was like in oil and gas or whatever, and he had someone now who's actually trying to change to go to like sustainable energy with like, wind and solar, right? So overall nobly good thing, obviously, for the environment, and like we can generate the power by doing it this way, not doing it that way, be plenty of jobs for everyone, so on and so forth. And so that's the way that he goes about it, and he's trying to be extraordinarily careful of how he did it. Now, of course, he did kill the people, so there is murder, but obviously Batman figures it out. He realizes that here's a trail, and it's like, sure enough, 3 of like the top 30, I think it was, most hated CEOs or something like that, are dead. And so obviously Batman figures it out, shows up to the scene. He's able to then pinpoint it's Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul now knows like that, Batman somehow, some way is onto them. So what he decides to do is he goes and confronts Damian. So when he confronts Damian, and Damian's like actually related to Ra's al Ghul, Batman shows up and he's like, Damian, you got to join me. This is our plan. We said this was going to happen all along. Now's the time for the turn. Damian's like, I'm not doing that. I'm sticking with Batman. And basically Ra's al Ghul has Damian to the point where he can like just hold him and has like the blade up against him, and then Batman's on the other side. And Batman realizes at this point he basically lost. And then Ra's al Ghul is like trying to plead with him. Like, think about what I'm doing. We have all this world and this destruction and these terrible things happening. I'm actually putting a stop to it and replacing it with people that are actually going to be good stewards of all this capital money and put it back into the world as it should be, to protect the environment, to give people like a chance at prosperity, so on and so forth, right? And so Batman like basically can't figure out a way to win, and so Batman gets stabbed by Ra's al Ghul and he dies. So he dies in the book, but they bring him back to life in the Lazarus pit 6 months later. And when they bring him back, Ra's al Ghul has killed all 30 of those people and replaced all 30 of them with people that are now going to actually do good in the world. And it leaves you conflicted. You read that and you're like, huh, interesting. Ra's al Ghul clearly doing evil by killing, but do the ends justify the means? Very interesting. And like the fact that, yeah, Batman failed, but did he? It's like crazy, crazy, crazy. Had me thinking. I'm still thinking about it, of like, wow, they really flipped it like that, and made Ra's al Ghul actually kind of the hero in the end. Bizarre. Now, of course, people died, but how many people were all these 30 rich CEOs, ripping people off? And the first one that he kills, it's like in a huge mega yacht in the middle of the ocean, and like just this asshole, and he just kills him and his son, who's also an asshole. It's like kill one, save 1,000 type of situation. Maybe kind of worth it. I don't know. Not trying to be a whole political rant and statement, but it's just that's the book. Read it and tell me it's not. So yeah, it's cool how they flip it, and it just had me thinking, and that for sure deserved a 4.5 in my opinion. Let's go ahead, flip through the actual book itself. I think the artwork is pretty great here too. Great, excellent detail. Like, here's a perfect example of where they're fighting on this big old yacht, and Ra's al Ghul just starts killing them, pretty violent and gruesome. And it's like straight up Ra's al Ghul of like, take no prisoners. I say one command and you just listen and follow. This is where Batman basically figures out everything that's actually happening. And then Ra's al Ghul's like, shit, they're onto us. We're going to have to just act now. And this is where he confronts Damian. Batman then shows up and he's like, shit, I don't really know what I'm going to be able to do here. And then, some more of the arguing going back and forth and the fighting. Damian's now down and out. And basically this is his plea of like, here's all the horrible things that are happening, here's what I'm trying to prevent, here's what I can do. Of course Batman's like, yeah, but you're killing people, can't be killing people but while doing that, breaking laws. And so in the end, boom, Batman gets it right in the gut. Damian's like, shit, I don't know what to do. And he's done, he's bleeding out, there's nothing he can do. And for now, I guess Damian then becomes Batman for a minute anyways. But in the end, after all this and all the explosions and all the people have died of all these crazy different ways, Ra's al Ghul has won and completed his plan and done everything that he needed to do. Batman comes back from the Lazarus pool, just trying to figure out how long he's been down and out. They let him know it's been the whole 6 months. And then they have kind of this last fight anyways, and Ra's al Ghul's like, whatever, dude. It doesn't matter to me. I did what I needed to. So they have this big old fight in the end. And then in the end, it looks like Ra's al Ghul basically just jumped off the edge or slipped off the edge, and Batman wasn't able to save him. But of course, he does come back because it's the Lazarus Pool, as you all know, and the world is suddenly a better place. So yeah, dope book, dope book. Overall, I will say, for all the Batman One Bad Days, right? So let's go ahead and pull all those up. So I have a list of them in front of me. It's going to be easier if we do that. So here are them all at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 books in total. We got Bane, Catwoman, Clayface, Mr. Freeze, Ra's al Ghul, the Penguin, the Riddler, Two-Face. I'd say, like, overall, most of them are good. But I don't know if it's worth picking up the set. Because let's go in order here. Bane, very good. I like that story a lot and how it actually showed that, like, Bane has a little bit of a heart. Catwoman was not good in my opinion. It was, like, kind of weird towards the end. Clayface was really good as it was, like, kind of a murder mystery thing. Mr. Freeze I didn't like. I didn't think that one was good. Obviously, I just talked to Ra's al Ghul, like that a lot. Penguin, for whatever reason, I can't really remember. I feel like I did not like it. I just feel like I didn't, but I honestly can't remember, so wasn't memorable. The Riddler, I know for a fact, was really good, and then Two-Face was, like, kind of so-so. So, you know, take all that and mix it all together, and that's what you get. But if you wanted to get all 8 books, I think it usually runs, like, anywhere from, like, $80 to $100 if you wanted to get the full set. So just kind of keep that in mind. You can go ahead and pick and choose. If you had to pick 2, I'd say Ra's al Ghul and the Riddler are probably the top 2 is what I would say. Then maybe Bane after that would be my opinion. Actually, maybe Clayface, yeah. And then Penguin I did give a 4.5, so I guess I did like it. That's right, I can see the stars right here. So Bane was 4, Catwoman 3.5, Clayface 4.5, Mr. Freeze was 4, Ra's al Ghul 4.5, Penguin 4.5, Riddler 4.5, Two-Face was a 4. So maybe just get the 4.5s. And you'd be alright. So anyways, with that, let's go ahead and get to our last one here, which is Local Man. This is going to be issue number 2. And of course, I don't have it rated here because it's like the full trade. But for that issue, I'd give it a 4. League overall gave this trade a 4.2. I actually wonder if they would have... Yes, issue number 2. League gave it a 4.3. So yeah, I think that kind of makes sense here. But for this book here, I'm loving it. I'm loving the whole concept and the idea. It's just like these local superheroes, but like there's a whole different gangs of superheroes and stuff. And this is just focusing on specifically one that got kicked out of this group, but now his longtime rival that also grew up in his hometown in Wisconsin also is dead, and he's just trying to figure out what all happened. And that's basically the premise. This issue picks up on he's not supposed to be doing any crime fighting whatsoever, and so he goes in and, of course, he decides, well, I got to figure out what happened to Hodag. And so he gets picked up by the police, basically, and they do some investigating and let him know what happened. And he's like, well, it wasn't me. I have a full-on alibi. And so with the alibi, he says that he was with hometown crush and that he used to date, Ignia, something like that. And that's actually who's dating the police chief that that he's interviewing with. And at first you think like, oh, he's going to get him all jealous. But no, he's like, yeah, she never mentioned you at all anyway, so I guess you didn't mean much to her. So this poor guy is like completely down on all of his luck. And so with that, he actually then decides to go and reach out to Hodag's mother. So he meets up with her. And when he does, it's Crossjack is his name. He's got like this drone that's following him. And so he's able to get rid of the drone, but it's basically tracking him to see what exactly he's all doing. And he's having conversation with her, and she's basically filling him in of like, he would draw all these things, he used to like you so much, and yada yada. You know, just thought it was always almost like wrestling in the sense of like, you guys were both playing both sides. We needed a hero and a villain. He was willing to play the villain, but didn't take it so seriously that he thought he was actually going to die, and knew that you were never going to take it so seriously that you were going to actually hurt him. But now that he's dead, she kind of blames everything that happened in the group that Crosscheck was a part of, because his leader, Camo Crusader, actually like hit Hodag pretty hard in the jaw and like knocked him out. And I guess he was on meds and all this stuff, and like basically started to go and spiral pretty down. And so she says to Crosscheck, and this is where we learned this, it's like the best thing you could have done was sleep with his wife, who is Neon, who is also in the group, and is, we find, the reason that he was kicked out for sleeping with the leader's wife. And so it's like, okay, that's a big piece as well. So we'll see what all that means. And so after all that experience and, you know, talking with the mother, he basically decides, okay, I got to figure out a way and figure out how I can solve this mystery of who killed Hodag and how I'm going to figure it all out. So he goes out, hood on, and destroyed another drone that was following him. So now he's going to go off and figure out everything that happened, which is cool. I'm enjoying it. It's funny. It's whimsical. It's super interesting. Bit of a Gooner book as well, too, because it just have Neon, and it's like a lot of cleavage exposed with some other folks as well. But it's just such a fun, enjoyable read, I would say. So let's go ahead and flip through the comic itself. So here we are, Crosscheck getting pulled in for questioning. Here's where he's talking to the police and just finding out everything that actually happened with Hodag. And then here's where he basically gets into an argument with his family, but decides, okay, I'm going to go visit his mother, who's out in this trailer here. And she basically is explaining everything that I said of like, you know, here's why he liked you a lot, and basically that you two were actually really good for each other. Find out more information about these heroes and a little bit more backstory here, basically. But in the end, come to find out, or Crosscheck just basically has in his mind that I'm going to go after these folks and basically try to figure out whatever all is happening for Hodag. So the other thing that's cool about this is you have some comics at the end here that actually show the quote-unquote glory days as well. So here's Crosscheck, you have Camel Commander here, and then Neon, and then you know, have some others in the group too. And basically this is what all Crosscheck is like thinking in his mind of like what all happened, and like that's his high school crush, right? Inga? Oh, that's it, Inga. And like everything that she thinks and all that stuff too. So all leading into then chapter 3, which I did read and I enjoyed chapter 3, but we will save that one for the next issue. So that is gonna wrap it up. Let's go ahead and go top to bottom again so you guys have the full list. And again, Local Man issue number 2, I would have given it a 4. Lee gave that one a 4.3. So we got Justice League Unlimited number 9, basically restoring the timeline. Captain America number 1, a reboot with a classic beginning, but a new twist on a second Captain America. New Champions number 7, new hero introduced and trying to find out, can we stop Hellrune summoning Hela? Void Rivals number 21, fight is on between the Zeratonians and the Aragorians. Mystique number 4, Mystique is burning everything to the ground and taking S.H.I.E.L.D. down with her. Danger Street number 7, stories continue to intersect and it still is a confusing mess. Rocketfellers number 7, get a better understanding of Roland's sister and the feud going on. West Coast Avengers, Ultron. Scorched Ultron is a badass and Iron Man is down. Raja Ghul, well, Batman One Bad Day, Raja Ghul. Raja Ghul goes woke. That's basically what the book is. And he wins. And then Local Man number 2. Got to figure out who killed our boy Hodag. So that's it. Those are the books for these 10 issues for this Omega run. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, we're going to have the regular issue this Saturday. Only 7 books on the poll, so I actually think it's going to be a mix of backlog stuff and of regular stuff, and then the Omega will finish everything else off. So I think it'll probably be 4 or 3 from the regular pull this week on this Saturday's issue, and then Omega for next week, you know, whatever the remaining pieces is what we'll have there. So that is what I'm thinking. I think we'll go ahead and close it out. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment if you enjoyed it, if you like the format, things you like to change, so on and so forth. Happy to switch this up for the audience, and then same goes for the audio folks as well. Everything where you can find me on socials and all that stuff is all in the descriptions. I do appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so very much, and I will see you in the next one.
This has been a DMW production. Thanks for stopping by.